Hey everybody, welcome to the Masters Fantasy Show, brought to you by MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. As always, I got the Masters crew with me, Dynasty Owl. Doc, what's up? How you guys doing today?
Doing great.
What's up?
Good to hear, man. Beautiful day to be alive, as always. Right before we jump into the show, just wanted to pass it along. The final day to renew your Dynasty teams was just yesterday, which means the Great Orphaning's on its way. Gonna have, I think it was like 500 plus teams, super teams, tons of really good Dynasty teams. Previous owners paid your deposit. Keep an eye out on the website for further information on that. Let's jump right into today's episode, though. They're running redrafts nightly. Last one we just ran was Sunday night. We're going to be taking a look at it, giving you our steal of the draft. With that said, send it over to you guys, whichever you want to go first. Your steal of the draft on Sunday night.
Al, you want to go or you want me to?
I'll kick us off.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so for me, it was a wide receiver I saw fall a little too far. He was about the 20th wide receiver off the board, and that's Cooper Kupp. I mean, it's a guy we've talked about a decent amount with Matthew Stafford coming in. I mean, he does nothing but put up numbers. I know last year was a little bit of a down year, but I mean, that whole offense took a big step back last year, but this year we think it's going to regain form. And just, guys going ahead of him that I just don't think are going to put up the type of consistent or, season-long numbers that he will. He's still in the prime of his career. We know he's a great route runner. We talked about how good he is after the catch, forcing missed tackles. I think there's a lot to love. The touchdown numbers were down last year. I think those are going to come back up. And, I think a lot to love about Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% here because I think Stafford's really going to be the key. And that's where I feel like he's getting undervalued because the Rams were a little bleh on offense last year. But, I mean, Cooper Kupp's produced at a high level before, and I don't see anything changing. If anything, I see it, getting back to where it was a couple years ago, and he was a legit wide receiver one. And, I mean, it's a great opportunity to get him because, yeah, like Alec has seen, he's slipping a little bit.
Yeah, I just did my second redraft. You guys seen the first one. I took Robert Woods in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
He was gone here. And I picked a couple picks later. It was like mid-5th round. Snatched up Cooper Kupp. Felt just as good as I did about Robert Woods there.
Oh, yeah.
I actually agree with you guys. I think guys are sleeping on him. And interestingly enough, in that draft, Adam Thielen had slipped all the way to the 5th round. And I was kind of like sitting there debating Thielen, Kupp. I went with Kupp, which I think was kind of surprising.
And, my bad, too. I kind of forgot to give his exact draft slot here. 5.8, as I'm sure it's popped up on the screen. But, guys who are going around that, Adam Thielen went a little bit before. Julio Jones even went before. I mean, Julio switched into Tennessee. I don't love it for fantasy purposes.
I will say that he was drafted before he got traded, but they did know he was getting traded.
Either way, just at the age he's at and where Cooper Kupp is right now. Robert Woods went before as well. Kenny Golladay went basically right after, and I think Kupp, I like him a lot more than Golladay this year.
Me too.
So.
All right, good stuff. And I'll move on to mine. I'm going to be doing the running back position. Round 6.11. Almost made it to the 7th round. That's going to be Travis Etienne. He was like running back 30 off the board, which I haven't been that big on him. But, sitting there watching the draft that night, I was looking at Najee, who went around he was like the 15th running back off the board, which I still think is even a little low for him. Big drop before ETN went. And I'm sitting there thinking about it. I mean, James Robinson, I get it. He doesn't have the same clear path that Najee has in Pittsburgh to playing time. But one thing we've spoke about quite a bit, man, is like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, that connection. So I'm sitting there thinking about that between Trevor Lawrence and ETN. And I'm like, you know what? One thing that's not going to change is he's still going to be this guy's safety valve in the NFL.
Right.
And I do think, I mean, we all know Trevor Lawrence, the talent he is, the generational talent he is. I expect him to keep the Jaguars competitive but still be behind in a lot of games. I mean, the guy can flat out sling the rock. I think guys are going to be looking to stop that. I think ETN's going to get peppered with targets even in his rookie season. This is PPR. I think getting him as like the 30th running back off the board, that's his floor for sure. And I think it's even higher than that with an upside of a top 15 back with them receptions. I love it, man. He's my steal of the draft.
Yeah, I love it too. I know, before the NFL draft on our first Travis Etienne Spotlight show, you were a little higher than I was on him just because I was a little worried about certain landing spots for him. But Jacksonville's one of the ones I love it ever since the draft, I think, for fantasy. I think they're going to utilize him great. I've mentioned, Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara with the James Robinson Etienne combo. And I know got a lot of bad publicity with he's working out as a receiver at rookie mini camp or whatever. I mean, I think it's great that they're getting more familiar with some of the receiving spots in the offense, and they're definitely going to get the ball in his hands in a variety of ways. But he's going to be a running back. He's going to get a ton of work at running back and get some nice, easy catches, too. I think his role will be a lot like Alvin Kamara's has been.
Yeah, definitely. And just to touch on that same thing, too, obviously, on paper it seems like this is a waste to have him work at receiver, but it is reassuring because they clearly want to work him as a receiver, which fantasy-wise is huge because they're going to utilize him in a lot of different ways. So, yeah, that was exciting, even though, from the outside looking in, it kind of looked like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I know I said this on one of our other shows, but Urban Meyer said, we're in shorts and a T-shirt walking through, power and zone runs. I mean, for a running back, there's nothing to gain from that.
Yeah.
But getting reps at wide receiver during, shorts and a T-shirt, learning the route. So there's a big difference there just in utilizing practice time. So
yeah, and then just because I just want to make one more point and make sure I got that right. Like I look at Trevor Lawrence coming into the pros. The biggest thing for him is going to be like reading defenses. They're more sophisticated. Things move a lot faster in the NFL. I don't think that his role between him and ETN changes at all. Those quick reads coming out of the backfield.
Yeah.
Him being his first, like that doesn't change at all. I think that'll carry over really easy into the pros.
Yeah, and similarly too, like think of last year how Dolphins players would always say, well, Tua, be a little kind of shy, a little gun shy, wouldn't really want to sling it like he did at Alabama because the windows weren't wide open. Well, I just think Trevor Lawrence in the same situation. If he doesn't see anything right away or it's not super open, he's always got someone that he trusts that he's played with 3 years to just dump it down to. So I like that.
And that's what I'm looking for, trust. And I'm thinking, man, like, I don't want to go too bold, but I'm thinking this guy could have like at least 60 catches in his rookie season.
Yeah,
I think it's very possible.
For a team that's always playing behind, probably. Right. But I think Lawrence is good enough to keep him in games just behind a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right, I'll close this out with my pick here. And this is a guy we've talked about a little bit. Hometown favorite, go Browns, Baker Mayfield. And, as much as I don't want to hype up a guy that, I have maybe a little bit of bias in, the draft selection here, he was at 14.2 in this draft. There was only 4 other quarterbacks that got taken after him. So he was one of the last 5 quarterbacks taken, which to me is ridiculous. It makes no sense to me. I know at the beginning of the season, middle of the season, a little rough start, but you got to think, new offense, new system, all that stuff takes some time to adapt. Odell gets hurt, and then add in those weird weather games, which we've talked about, where it was like groppling the one day. Again, I don't even know what that is. Yeah. And then from week 12 on to week 17, he was the 8th quarterback in scoring. So, I mean, that shows you what he's capable of. Bring back Odell Beckham Jr. They draft Anthony Schwartz. They're adding more weapons for Baker Mayfield, who already has the best running back tandem, the best offensive line in the NFL, in my opinion. I mean, the sky's the limit. They're only going to get better as they go on. I mean, he's going to get more comfortable with Stefanski and their system. And again, the weapons are there. You've got 2 legit stud receivers, 2 legit stud running backs. Austin Hooper's a very good tight end. He's got it all. And I as much as they're going to focus on running the ball, they will throw the ball out. We saw that a lot last year too. They will throw the ball. So for Baker Mayfield to be drafted that late in the draft behind a lot of quarterbacks that he's going to finish better than, that's a head scratcher to me. I mean, he was in the second half of the year, he was one of the better quarterbacks in fantasy, and he's still not getting treated as such. So that's my steal of the draft. I think that's a huge steal.
Yeah, I'm with you. And actually, I was looking at, there was one other quarterback I wanted to mention, and not to take anything away from Baker. I think it was a great deal. And this was before the Julio trade, obviously. Well, we're not going to do a Julio show. Yeah. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. I seen Tannehill as quarterback 14 off the board.
I almost picked him.
I almost did too, but you went with Baker. I didn't want to do quarterback, so I left it. And I do think Baker's a steal, but I just wanted to add, I think both of them are tremendous steals late in your draft. And I expect Tannehill to slide up, obviously.
Right. I'm anxious to see how far he moves up because even, like we've talked before, that his first 16 games with the Titans, his stats are almost identical to Patrick Mahomes over the same 16-game span. I mean, that says a lot about Tannehill. And even then, he was still undrafted or drafted super late or a free agent in most leagues. Like, even when he was performing well, he still didn't get that respect. So, I don't know. I don't know if adding Julio really shoots him up a whole lot higher.
He finished 7th last year. I don't think it really can.
Yeah, and he's still, look how low he's getting drafted versus where he's finished.
I didn't mean to switch topics from Baker, guys. I've just been itching to talk about Tannehill.
Too. I think it's warranted. I think they're both getting criminally undervalued, and I don't really understand it because the numbers would suggest otherwise. But
I will add, if you draft Baker, you're probably getting him as your second quarterback. Keep an eye on the weather report, like you said. I mean, if it says Groppling, move on, man. You know.
Yeah, that's the only downside is if it's tough, run the football weather. I mean, the Browns can do that better than just about anybody, so that's where you're kind of in a pickle there. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, Baker Mayfield, huge steal. And yes, Ryan Tannehill, huge
both
steal
of them,
as well.
too, guys. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this edition, our redraft steals of the draft. Thanks for watching. As always, if you could, hit the like and subscribe button. Come be a part of the Masters family. Love to have you. Any last words?
Thanks for listening.